Pat Walker here with Mission Winners. It is Sunday and once again time to dive into the ETFs and MAXLIST stocks. So let's take it from the top. This is sorted by alphabetical, okay? So just taking it that way. So here we go. ARK Innovation. You can see, and you can punch up ARKK and find out what their top 10 holdings are, but it's hanging in okay. All right, doesn't look too bad. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. Perhaps, and I'll get rid of this line here, and at Mission Winners, this is the kind of stuff we do. We always have a plan. There you go. You got a simple line right there. Maybe it's going to form a handle here and then take out that line. Something to bear watching going forward. But it does tell us there's some leadership in this group. ARK Innovation. Let's continue onwards. Here we go. ARK Next Generation Internet. It's hanging in pretty good. Now, it had a downward sloping trend line that it broke through this week, and now we have another line. We always, again, have a plan, and I encourage you that you do too. There you go. Maybe it's going to form a handle here. Also, this is why we look at the weekly. This is a great lesson. That's why we do these videos. Look at this. We'll get rid of this line now, but look at this long weekly base across here. There you go. And again, weekly on the left, daily on the right. You can watch this going forward. Also note, it picked up on heavy volume on Thursday, and you can see the volume pick up on the weekly too. So something to watch going forward. Or you could punch up ARKW and find out what their top 10 holdings are. There you go. That's systemization. At Mission Winners, you got a limited amount of time. Let's use it wisely. Let's move on. Here we go. Biotechnology is a good lesson here. Oh, look, it's going, it's going. Oh, gosh, it faded. Oh, look, it's going, it's going. Oh, it faded. What does that tell us? There's a seller up there, and you can see it on the daily, and you can see it on the weekly. So what does this tell us? Be cautious with it. It needs to take out, and I'll draw this for you to help you. It needs to take out these tops across here, and that's close enough, with volume. Until then, be a little cautious, because again, it tells you there's a seller here, there's a seller here. By the way, I'm not talking some kind of conspiracy theory. I'm just saying it has resistance there. It's met with sellers, okay? Let's move on. Cloud computing's picking up a little bit. Had a downward sloping trend line that it cracked through. And now there's another line. You can see it on the weekly. I'll get rid of this. You can see it across these tops on the weekly. I'll just draw this to help you. And please note this. It doesn't need to be to the penny, okay? Don't, just simple lines, simple bases. I talk about this constantly on social media. Why are simple bases such a reliable setup for buying and making money? I'm going to explain something from a psychological perspective. They're easy to see, okay? It's easy for me to see. It's easy for you to see. It's easy for everybody to see. If it's easy for everybody to see, does that not increase the probabilities that A, they see it, and B, they'll buy? Yes, that's what we're looking for. We flip that coin. Think about this. I got a chart pattern that nobody knows about. Well, so they're not going to buy it. There we go. Anyway, it's a good lesson for us. You can see these tops across here, potential. You can see the line on the weekly. And I'll draw it on the daily just to help. Just going across those tops. That's all. It would be nice if it formed a little handle here. I don't know if it will or not, but note it is rising on steadily increasing volume. So maybe look into cloud computing. There we go. Let's move on. Energy. Do a compare and contrast. Oh, this looks pretty good. It's near highs. Oh, this is nothing. You're exactly right. Don't overthink it. Leave it alone. Energy. Stay away from energy. Done. Dow Jones Internet. Now that one's picking up too. Technology related. Look at the volume that came into this on Friday. Look at it. They're buying it. You've got some tops across here. There we go. Best thing it could do is form a little handle here. Okay. Just to get rid of a few more sellers. Do you ever think about why a handle forms and why it's useful? Most people really never ponder it. I want to share this with you. And I taught this at the IBD meetups. It's gone up in price. It hits old highs and then it starts to back off. Who's selling? People that bought it down lower and watched it rally up to old resistance, like right here, across that line, and people who owned it back here. People who bought it back here and watched it fall and come back up near the price? I'll draw this line to help. I'm big on teaching this stuff. And this isn't hocus pocus. This is the real world. And if you reason through it, you'll understand. It's a solid foundation. Rallies up, falls, rallies back up near old highs and starts to fall. The people that bought it down lower, they're selling for a profit. The people that bought it here and watched it fall all the way down to here, rallies back up, and then they sell. And by selling, it forms, assuming the selling is not heavy, it can form a small handle. So you've got people here that are selling. You've got people from up here that are selling. When the rest of the sellers are gone, any buying can push it up in price. There you go. That's a psychological analysis of the cup and a handle. Most people don't know that. We do. I taught it, and it works. Continue onwards. IBD 50 is picking up. I'll make this a little bigger for you. IBD 50 is picking up a little bit, but still kind of lagging. It is improving here on the weekly. There's an entry right here. It does show that IBD 50, its growth stock proxy, is improving. Good. Let's continue onwards. Gold miners, they're hanging in okay. I mean, there's no real clean entry on it here, but it does say there's strength in gold mining stocks, something to look into. There you go. Junior gold miners, strength in that also, something to look into. Gold, GLD, we own, and it's working. Simple base right here. Simple base right here. Look at the volume pickup on this bar. Here's a good lesson for everybody. Oh, just kind of going sideways. I mean, I can clean this line up if you'd like, just to help. And also note, this is not calculus. This is not to the penny, okay? There you go. Hey, it's just going sideways. I guess if it goes through these tops here, that'd be pretty good. Yeah, I can go with that. I can live with that. Oh, it'll need volume when it does it. Yeah, that's true. Oh, look at the volume. Folks, everybody saw this. We saw it. And it does this. Isn't that neat? Look at the volume pickup. There you go. And here's where we're at. Now, it's not a runaway, but it's a start. We'll see what it does. Let's continue onwards. Oh, by the way, there we go. Now it's updated. That looks a little bit better, doesn't it? Let's move on. Cybersecurity's near highs right here. Hack. You could punch up hack, and I'll draw the line to help. There it is. Take that out. Now, what's the one slight negative? Pat, it's going up, but gosh, it's not going up on much volume on the daily or the weekly in here. You're right. So be a little cautious with it. There's not a lot of buying power coming into this. Be aware of that. All right. You like to see, as the stock's going up in price, you want to see good volume. There's not much. So just want to point a few things out to help. Biotechnology doesn't look too bad here. Had a downward sloping trend line. It lifted off and faded off of it. There's another base across here. And I'll draw this. And again, team, it doesn't need to be to the penny. There you go. Ran up, gapped up and faded off a little bit. Maybe it's going to form a little handle here. We'll watch and see, but it doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad on biotechnology. The ETF or maybe some stocks. Online retail. Look at how this picked up. Gosh, that's kind of neat. Are there any online retail stocks? Let me see. Oh, yeah, there's that little company. What's it called? Amazon? Yeah. So that's a MAXLIST stock, by the way, we own. This is picking up here. Okay, it says online retail's improved on the daily and on the weekly. Something to look into. Continue onwards. I'm going to pause here and share something. I'm going to go back to this. Please buy close to the pivot. Don't chase price. You're opening yourself up to larger losses. Again, buy close to the pivot. It will really help you, honestly. IEO, this is like, I mean, look at this. Oh, that's near highs. That doesn't look too bad. Look at the weekly chart. That doesn't look too bad. Someone maybe look into. There's nothing there. You're exactly right. Don't overthink it. Buy strength. Don't look for the bottom. Leave it alone. So what is it telling you? Stay away from oil and gas. Okay. Technology. Oh, that looks pretty good. Do we own technology stocks? Yeah, because the charts look good. It's hanging in nicely. Is there a clean entry at this time? Well, on the daily, it gapped up a little bit, but look at the weekly. The longer weekly, it's taking off. Note, look at the volume pickup on Friday on the daily. Look at the volume pickup on the weekly. Going across these bigger picture tops. Something to look into. IGV. Continue onwards. IHI medicine's a little choppy up there. I mean, look at the weekly, it's choppy. By the way, here's a great lesson for you. Watch this. I'll make this bigger so you can see something. See that reversal bar and a slight pickup in volume? And there it is on the daily. Tells you be a little careful with medical stocks. Okay. And when I buy this here, no, leave it alone. Continue onwards. IJH, midcaps picking up a little bit, tells you the rally spread out to the midcap area. That's nice to know. Continue onwards. Aerospace and defense is hanging in okay. You've got some tops here on the weekly and you've got some tops here on the daily. Now note this, it fell and there's some selling volume in here and it's rallied up, but not on a lot of volume. So watch out for there. Volume tells us other people see it and they're buying. Well, people may see it, but there's not a lot of money moving into it. Be aware of that. Home construction's acting decent here, okay? As you can see, interest rate sensitive. You can look into this or you can look into some home construction stocks. There you go. Now, note this, it gapped up and backed off a little bit. It's a little loose up here, okay? Focus on buying out a clean base entries. There was an entry here, bouncing off the 2180 EMA. Up here, it's loose and extended, so be careful with that. Don't buy extended stocks. S&P 500 growth's hanging in pretty nice. Looks good. Look at the weekly pickup. And it's been acting okay here. What's it say? Oh, I guess it's okay to buy some buy some growth stocks. And yes, we have been. It told us to. The price and volume action of the stocks did too. Small caps picking up a little bit, doesn't look too bad. Rally spread out, and it's doing it on volume. Continue onwards. Real estate's acting decent. Look at this. By the way, let me think here. Gosh, they did something with interest rates, didn't they? Oh yeah, they did. Folks, real estate, you know this. Real estate companies, real estate markets like falling interest rates, and it's acting decent. Selling off here a little bit. I wouldn't do anything with it at this point in time. See what happens. Don't chase price. Okay. Transportation, nothing going on with it. It gapped down. Be cautious with that. Right here, it was going up and they spanked it down. Leave it alone for right now. Airlines picking up a little bit, but there's no real clean entry on it yet. Okay. But it has proved a little bit. That's nice to see. Banking. What do you see right here? And I'll draw this to help you. You got some tops up down here, two tail bars here. Here's a great lesson for everybody. You see where it ran up and reversed down? Met with selling. Ran up, reversed down, met with selling. And now it's run back up here again. What does that tell us? Well, there was sellers there. I don't know if they're still there, but what it does say is this needs to push through that line with volume. Until then, be cautious. Okay, it needs to do that. Push through with volume or no buy. Makes it easier. Insurance picking up a little bit, doesn't look too bad. Looking at some insurance stocks. Regional banking's hanging in okay. Had a downward sloping trend line. Now that's breached, so now we do this. A downward sloping trend line. Perhaps it's going to form a handle and take off. There's a very important lesson I want to share with everybody right here. Do not think that this top line always has to be a flat horizontal line like that. It does not. It can be a slight downward sloping line, and that's just fine. But make sure it is a clean base. That will help you. Let's move on here. Midcaps hanging in okay. Doesn't look too bad. Rallied up, backed off a little bit on Friday on a pickup in volume. So it needs to take out these tops. You can see the highs here, high here, and the high right here. I'll take this off for now, and I'll draw this for you to help you. There you go. Another important lesson. Please don't think this line has to touch it to the penny. It doesn't. Just get close to it, okay? That will help you. There we go. So maybe it's going to form a handle on midcaps. And if it does, that would be good. Then break through. Nails picked up a little bit, home building related. Tail bar on the weekly though. And this bar right here, it was met with heavy selling. Look at the selling volume. So be a little bit careful with the home builders. Don't get sloppy with it. Never get sloppy with anything. Oil services, stay away. Look at the weekly. Look at there's nothing to do with it. Oh, maybe this is the bottom. Why think maybe when we can see things that look good now, that are easy to see? This says avoid oil service stocks. Pharmaceuticals, it's kind of getting sloppy here. Drops down here, drops here, a little loose here. Be careful with pharmaceuticals. Leave it alone. I guess just say no to drugs. Okay, how's that? There we go. QLD, and actually that's a true statement. Yeah, stay away from stuff like that. Mess up your brain and everything else. QLD going across these tops, maybe it's going to form a little handle here and take off. If it does, it will need buying. And if you noticed, it lifted up, but there's some distribution here. There's not a lot of powerful buying. Maybe it's going to base through here. There's a slight downward sloping trend line. I'm going to draw this for you. This is a great lesson. Watch this. There's a downward sloping trend line on the daily. Guess what? It's the same line on the weekly. Isn't that neat? So what does it say? Maybe it forms a handle and takes out that top, that line. That'd be awesome. There you go. Am I saying it's going to? No, I don't know the future. Nobody does. But we'll always be ready. We always have a plan. QQQ, a little bit stronger. Similar situation. Retailing's picking up. Doesn't look too bad, but it's choppy. When you see price gaps like this, be cautious. Price gap here, price gap here. And the gaps can go both ways. Price gap down, price gap down, price gap down. So be aware of gappy stocks, right? Cloud computing's picking up a little bit, technology related. You can see it on the weekly, see it on the daily. That's good. Looking at cloud computing. Silver's picking up, but it's kind of sloppy, choppy. Be careful. Steel's kind of choppy. Be cautious. Semiconductors, not a lot of power in semiconductors. As you can see, semiconductor leverage, same situation. Spider's picking up a little bit. Okay, we're involved in the markets, and you can see that. Pulled back, and this is a good lesson. It gapped down, it fell, and I'm going to make this bigger to show you something. Oh, that's a red bar on increasing volume. Note where it opened and note where it closed. It closed above where it opened. There was power there into the close. That's good information to know to make better investing decisions. Another key point I'd like to make, and I love teaching this stuff, don't have your price bar so tight you can't see the nuances of the chart. But at the other side, don't have them out so wide that you can't see much of the chart pattern. Find that spot where you get enough data, like right in here, that you get enough data, price data, to make good investing decisions. That will help you. SSO, same situation, doesn't look too bad. S&P 500, we're about done. Solar's lagging, leave it alone. I mean, look at that. Look at that ugly tail bar here. You want to see something neat? Look at these highs right here. Watch this. I didn't rehearse this. I'm doing this real time. I haven't looked at these charts till just now. But look, it rallies up and they take that baby down. Rallies up and they take it down. Rallies up to the old highs. I mean, what's the high on this bar? Here we go. 43.13, 43.17. What's the high over here? 43.14. I'm not making this up. Watch the H. Just keep your eyes on the H. The high on this bar is 43.13. Okay? The high on this bar is 43.17. The high on this bar, 43.14, almost to the dang penny. And look where it stops. People look at that stuff, folks. Most people don't know that. Now you do, and it will help you make better investing decisions. And that's my goal, is to help. Small caps doesn't look too bad. Okay, maybe form a little handle right here. That would be nice to see. We're about done here. Oil services, or U.S. oil, lagging, leave it alone. Aerospace and defense is acting okay. No real clean entry on it right now, though. Okay. Biotechnology is kind of sloppy and choppy. Look, it goes up, they take it down, reverses. A little choppy up there. Be careful. Overall, be careful with biotechnology. But there is, I'm going to take this off and I'll show you something. There are some clean tops across here. Watch this. This is why I look at weeklies and dailies, and I have for a while. See those tops here and here, and rallied up there. These tactics help me. Just to let you know, and I'm not bragging here, this is reality. I was managing a lot of money going into the crash of 87, knowing the chart patterns and what to look for. And I have to tell you, the guy I met a couple of times, Martin Zweig, had a profound impact on me on risk control. Thank heaven. He was a good man. Anyway, all of our managed accounts We were out before the crash of 87. We avoid. I'm not bragging, okay? We just let the markets guide us. That's all. Price and volume, and that will help you. Please don't impose your will on the charts. Home builders picking up a little bit, doesn't look too bad. Building materials, it's a little choppy, not too bad. Communications hanging in okay, looks decent on the weekly too. Energy lagging, leave it alone. Financials acting a little bit better. Maybe it's got some tops across here to look into. Industrials acting okay. Technology, it's picking up a little bit, but it really needs to show some power above this top line here. And I'll help you and draw this further. And again, I'd like educate. I don't want to just give ideas. I want you all to know why. There's power in knowing the why, and you can transfer that knowledge into other stocks. That's real power. You can see it's just basing here, but it really needs to push through here with volume. Okay. XLK. XLP, consumer staples, acting okay, but kind of sloppy up here, and it's falling on increasing volume. There's no clean entry on it right here. Okay. Utilities picking up. Interest rate sensitive, right? There you go. And it's been telling you interest rates are in our favor. There we go. Continue onwards. Healthcare is a little choppy. Be cautious. Consumer discretionaries acting okay. The consumer stocks. Metals and mining, it's okay, but it's kind of loose. Be cautious. Oil, leave it alone. Retailing picking up some, but note the tail bars on the weekly. Look at that. That's telling you that every time that thing goes up, it's met with sellers. All right. Needs to push through these tops here with volume. Until then, be cautious with retailing. Software's acting decent. Yeah, we're involved with things like that, technology related. Needs to see some more power. I like that. Okay, so that was the ETFs. Now we dive into the MAXLIST stocks. But first, let me ask you, have you hit that subscribe button yet? We noticed that only about 40% of the viewers on our weekly videos are subscribed. If you have enjoyed this video so far, please hit the subscribe button. It is 100% free, and it helps us get more great videos to you. Oh yeah, the like button, also please do hit that. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Now let's get into the MAXLIST stocks. There's Apple. Apple started to pick off these lower level off the 50-day here, tailed off a bit here. Notice where it stopped. This to me is a great lesson. Right in here. Cross these tops. I'll draw this for you to help. Charts have memory. Why? Charts are a function of human decision making, and humans have memory. I'm not saying that to be funny. Most people never really understand that concept, but look what it does. Oh, it rallies up here and then backs off. Rallies right back up. The high on this bar is 232.92. The high on this bar is 233.09. It's almost the same price, folks, and it backed off. Now, we're not getting all negative. It just tells us at the time there's some sellers up here. But what could happen? And we always have a plan. Always. Perhaps it will form a handle. What's one slight negative? It fell on fairly heavy volume on Friday. So it just tells you, be a little cautious. There you go. Let's continue onwards. In fact, I'm going to be blunt. Until it shows some power and pushing up in price with good volume, don't buy it. That's simple. That's it. Amazon is working for us from lower. There was a lower level push right here. I'll show you this real quick just to help you. I like to educate. Across that top right there. Now, what else was it doing? Well, it pushed through on a pickup in volume, right? And it pushed through the 50-day. There you go. And we're in it. We're letting it work. We'll see what happens. I'd love this to form a handle and take off, but I'd also love it if it just took off like a rocket and just took off. That'd be okay too. There's no real clean entry at this point in time unless it does base here a little bit. Okay, just share that with you. Continue onwards. Alibaba's picking up. There was a level here on the weekly. Here's the risk with Alibaba. It gaps a lot. Oh, it gapped up. That's awesome, Pat. Oh, God, it gapped down. That's not so good. See the difference? And there's a reason why. And I'm not knocking the company, okay? Foreign stocks have a tendency to gap up or down more. You could say, why is that? Because they're trading overseas when our market is closed. So when our market opens, what happened overseas is therefore reflected at the opening prices, hence gapping up or gapping down. Just something to be aware of. No real clean entry on Alibaba at this point in time, so be careful with it. BIDU, no really clean entry there, okay? Lot of overhead supply. Lot of overhead supply. If a person was going to get very aggressive, and I'll just show you this, going across that line right there, potential. But note, tremendous amount of overhead supply in this chart. Overhead supply means there's people that own it up higher, and when it gets back near their price, some of them will sell. That's overhead supply. Most people don't really know that. We do. Google. I like this base on Google going across these tops right here. And I'll draw you the line so you can see this. This is the MAXLIST. I love these stocks. Love them. But not all of them, right now, as you can see. This isn't perfect, but it is basing. What catches your eye? And we teach this at Mission Winners. Combine price and volume action. What do you notice on Friday? Gosh, Pat, it closed near the highs. It closed near old resistance, and it did it on a pickup in volume. Yes. Tells us that could potentially push through this top. If it pushes through that top with volume, that could be an actionable buy. Not a full heavy buy. You can say, well, why not? There's a lot of overhead supply. Remember this, and I taught this at IBD meetups. Good investing is not one size fits all. We can take into consideration the action of the chart for strength or weakness and help that adjust share size. That works. Kept me in the game for decades. And I was taking money out of the account every week for bills. 4 kids in private schools at the same time. Woo! Boy, is that expensive. Okay, Meta across these clean tops here on the weekly and on the daily. And we own it. And notice this. It's going up, and it's going up on increasing volume. That's good to see. And we're going to let her work and see where it goes. Don't buy it up here. Don't chase price, though. I'm going to pause and share something very important. Buy close to the pivot or don't buy at all. Okay? That will help you. Next one. Microsoft. There's a good lesson here. There's a breakout right there. So, and we own it, and it's working. I think we do. I'd have to double check. Coming across these tops right here. Hold on, let me look at some. The other one. No, I take that back. Okay. Go back here. There's some tops up here, kind of choppy, and it fell on fairly heavy volume on Friday. You see that? So what does it need to do? Well, I'll show you. There it is. It's just simple Blaze, folks. But note, you see where it rallied up and it tailed off? Rallied up and it tailed off? There's powerful knowledge we teach at Mission Winners. It's met with sellers. Oh, it's going, it's going. Oh, gosh, it faded off the highs. Oh, this is the time it's going, but gapped up and faded off the highs. Tells us there's sellers there. It needs to push through there. There we go. Continue on. Until that happens, be cautious. Goldman Sachs picking up, but there's no real clean entry there. Leave it alone. MasterCard's picking up, but it's kind of choppy up right here now. Nothing really to do with it. And note, there's some selling right there. So be cautious with that, okay? Continue onwards. Netflix goes up, starts to lift off. They take it back down. A little sloppy here. Let's see it clean up a little bit, all right? That will help. Continue onwards. NVDA is forming. I'll clean this out of here. And I'll draw you something that's nice. Here's the weekly, okay? And there's some distribution in that. I'm going to refresh this chart real quick. Hold on. One missing bar right there. I'll have to check volume on that bar. But you can see here on the daily, there's a slight, and I'll draw this for you to help you. Cross here. There's a slight downward sloping trend line. Perhaps it will take out that trend line, which will also mean it's pushing through the 50-day, off the 50-day, and it will need to do it on volume. What's the negative? It fell on heavier volume on this bar. They sold it on heavier volume on this bar. They sold it on heavier volume on this bar. You can see it. You can't deny reality, folks. That's the beautiful thing about what we do at Mission Winners. We don't impose our will on it. There's reality in the chart. We just get in line with it, and we don't argue with it. And we teach how to read things in the charts. Fell on fairly heavy volume, went up. You say, well, that's a good bar then, Pat. Watch this. How did it close on this bar? It gapped up, it ran up, and closed in the bottom third of its range. It was met with selling. Okay, you can see it in the chart. You can't, it's not forecasting, it's reality. So what does that tell us? It needs to take out this downward sloping trend line that would also be pushing off the 50-day, and it needs to do it with volume. And again, there was heavier selling volume on that bar and this bar. Not getting bearish, just pointing out what it is. That's all. When we accept what's in front of us and don't impose our will on it, it'll help you with clearer decision making and make more money and be safer too. Continue onwards. Tesla in it, lifted off here on good volume, tailed off a bit. We need to see this start to push. Not a full position, okay? We'll watch this and see what happens. What's the game plan? We will not buy more until it takes out these bars with volume and a good market. We won't. There's no reason to, because it hasn't shown more power. So why? And don't impose. This is a very important lesson for everybody. Please don't impose your will on the chart. Well, it's Tesla or whatever. It's good. I'm buying it. No. Let price and volume action guide your actions. No bias. It will really help you in decision-making processes. It will help you make more money. It will help you save more money. Visa's picking up, but it's kind of sloppy, and you can see there's a tail bar on the weekly, and there's a tail, or not tail bars, for dropping here on increasing volume on the daily. See that? That's heavy selling volume. What does that say? Stay away from me. Leave me alone. Done. And then, by the way, that was a long little conversation or dissertation there. You get this down to a science, you can glance at it, and literally 1 second, no, if there's no place to buy it, move on. Done. And we do. And we go take it to the top. All right, team, that's our weekly review. Hope it helps you get a clearer picture of where the market's headed and what stocks to keep an eye on. By the way, don't forget about our weekly top stocks to have on your watch list video coming out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're curious about what we covered last week, you can find the link to that video in the top right corner. Remember, these watch list videos are just a small taste of what our VIP members get with the daily key list videos on missionwinners.com. So if you're serious about finding those super performance stocks, consider joining us. Now, I'm curious to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's market review? Do you have any questions or concerns? Feel free to drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for sticking around for the whole video. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And remember, stay sharp, keep learning, and keep finding those winners.